about how I improved my mental health. First of all, respect to you for clicking on this long, unedited guide rather than all of the other clickbait bullshit on the internet. There's guys you know who are jacking off right now whilst we speak, and you're here gaining knowledge. Respect to you. Quick introduction, my name's Krish. My current mission is to spread a good message to teenagers by teaching what I've just learned and implemented. I make these videos to share what worked for me, so hopefully you can gain some value from it. Absorb what is useful, discard what isn't, add what is uniquely your own. If you find this video to be useful to you, you can subscribe if you want. This is my story with this. So I went from a guy who was depressed, anxious, traumatized, with both mental and physical health, to finally, imagine waking up and being happy that you are you. Imagine just waking up and being proud of yourself just for being awake, just for being who you are. That's finally the level that I've reached now, where I wake up, I'm genuinely happy with who I am. I'm not depressed, I'm not anxious. I'm actually happy with life. And that's what I wish for you. So my promise to you is to give you the steps and tools you need to improve your mental health based on what worked for me. Just make the promise to yourself right now. You will just watch this full guide to the very end and take action on every actionable step. If you want this guide to help you, if you want this guide to actually be useful to you, just watch it to the very end. It's not going to be some 10-minute long, short clickbaity, with all fancy edits or anything. It's just pure education, but I think this will help you a lot. Before we begin, you just need to know that everything is determined by your mental health. Everything. Your ability to stay disciplined, your ability to be social with other people, your ability to not jack off. Everything is determined by your mental health because that's your foundation right here, just up here. Take this seriously. This is not some joke thing that you should be oh yeah, I already know all this. Take this seriously. Everything is determined by your mental health. Everything. So this is what we're gonna go over today. We're gonna go over what caused my mental health to deteriorate. Depression, anxiety. We're gonna cover trauma, shit habits, and worsening friendships. After that, we're gonna cover what I did to improve it. So we're gonna cover all of these: exercise, diet, sleep, mindfulness, gratitude, adventure, self-love, phone usage, quitting addictions, improving relationship with parents, and cutting off old friends and building new friendships, right? So let's start with what caused my mental health to deteriorate. So my depression peaked during the COVID lockdown, right? And I think that that's true for a lot of people, because when you're cooped up inside a little box, it's yeah, you kind of can't help but just be depressed because you can't go outside for some reason. A lot of people need to understand that depression isn't just sadness. It's also just kind of emptiness. As if there's no point to it all. Kind of like hopelessness. A lot of people who are depressed, or at least me, experience quite negative, quite berating thoughts. Or at least that's what I've experienced. And the reason why I was depressed was because I wasn't living like a happy, healthy human should. All right, so hold on. Stop reading the words, all right? Just focus on me for a second. The reason you're depressed right now, the reason why I was depressed, it's not because of genetics. A lot of people think it is. A lot of people think it's because of genetics, because of this thing, and because of this thing. Genetics do play a part. I'm not going to lie to you. Genetics, they just play a part in everything because we're human beings, right? You might be predisposed to it, might be predisposed to depression because some weird chemical thing that's going on. But that predisposition doesn't have to be activated all the way, and it is activated by the things that you do and the choices that you make. And so, you need to just like take some responsibility here. This is your fault. I know that might sound like really, really harsh. The reason you're depressed, it's not because of genetics. It's not because of like other people or something like that. Maybe it's because of other people, fine. The real reason why you're depressed is, again, you're not living like a happy, healthy human should. If you look at like a depressed person, it's like, yeah, there's like athletes who are depressed, fine. But those are like extreme cases. Barring extreme cases, people who are like genuinely depressed, what do they do from day to day? They wake up without getting enough sleep. Maybe they sleep too much. They're on their phone for multiple hours a day. They don't exercise. They don't eat food. They don't have purposeful work. Of course you're going to be depressed. Like, again, like I feel like that's just common sense. I'll go over this later too as well. When your physical health is shit, when you're not eating good food, when you're just sitting inside all day, when you're not like going outside and touching grass, when you're not being social, when you don't have any good relationships, of course your mental health is going to suffer. During the COVID lockdown, I was playing video games for like 16 hours per day. I was jacking off like 2-3 times per day. The friends that I had weren't even real friends. They were like just like random assholes that I played games with, right? There was a bunch of abuse and trauma that was happening at the time. My physical health was shit because I didn't work out. I just ate shit food. Of course my mental health was bad. Like, how could you not expect that to be bad, right? So you need to just take some responsibility and be like, yep, I'm depressed because I'm living like an absolute loser right now. I know that might sound really, really harsh. For most people, for the majority of people, that's the case. That was the case for me. All right, so let's go on to anxiety. So my anxiety also skyrocketed during the lockdown because of the abuse that was going on at the time. Throughout basically all my childhood, I just got beat by my father, right? And this was especially bad. Listen, I know, hold on, just again, focus on me. Come on, stop reading the words. My father just abused me for most of my childhood, and this was especially bad during the lockdown. Why? Because he was there for like the whole day. He was working and stuff, fine. But before the COVID lockdown, I at least had like some moments of peace. I at least had some moments of like, okay, he's not here. I can just like, do whatever I want, just play games, right? And jack off. But during the lockdown, it was like he was here all the time. When he wasn't there, my anxiety would only skyrocket when he came home at like 5 p.m., 6 p.m., right? I remember like when that time would roll around, I would just go up to my room and like hide there and like lock the door or something. Or maybe I would just like go into the bathroom and pretend I was having a shit. And I just sit there for an hour. And he'd be like, "Oh no, where is he? Where's our son?" And my mom was like, "Oh no, he's in the bathroom. He's like doing something." Of course, you don't want to disturb anybody that was in the bathroom, right? And sometimes I would actually have to shit because I was like so nervous at the time. But during the lockdown, it was like he was there at all times. So, like every single day, he was there in that room. And so I was afraid that he could come down at any point. And that fucked everything with my mental health, at least. So I was neurotically overthinking everything. Right? So I'll tell you a quick story. So I remember, I think this was during the COVID lockdown. So I've mentioned before and previously in a lot of other videos that you might have watched, I used to be an avid gamer. right? Every single day without fail. 16-hour days, right? I was a committed gamer on that grind, right? I remember there was one time when because I used to always play in the living room, right? Because I, my room was only for like schoolwork. It was only for schoolwork. And so, I never really had like a monitor like this to like play games on. And so I'd always play in my room. And not in my room, in the living room with like this big, like giant screen TV with like loudspeakers and whatnot. And so when I would play games, it would always disturb my dad because, I'd be like shouting. I'd be like shouting with my friends. And, I was an asshole to them. They were assholes to me too. And, we were just screaming. We were screaming and shouting at each other. And there was one day when my dad had enough because, he told me like a bunch of times, like, just like keep it down. Like, I'm trying to do work here and like, I'm trying to provide, right? One day he had enough and he came down and he said, this is bullshit. He took the controller out of my hands and he just chucked it against the wall. Just like smashed into pieces everywhere. I was like kind of like dazed and confused. And then he took away just my Xbox, took away my console, took away both the controller as well. And I was pretty mad. I was like, why did he do that? Like, what did I do wrong? And I was like, well, now looking back, it was like, yeah, you were talking too loud and you kind of deserve that. I'm not going to lie. And now, obviously, I wasn't going to give up that easily. Because, like, like he probably hid it somewhere, like somewhere obvious, right? So like, once he was working, I searched the whole house, basically the whole house. He didn't put it in his room. He put it in my brother's room, the room that I am now that my brother gave me. He just put it like directly in the closet. So I found it, and I didn't exactly, have a monitor of my own to play games in my room, and that would have been like the best case scenario. So I had to play in the living room. Like I really, really had to. Like now I could have just not played games, but obviously like we're talking about like the 2020, 2021 version of me. And what I would do, like I had this like ingenious plan, right? What I do is I'd take the console, I'd put it on like the little shelf thing like next to our TV. And what I do is I like take a blanket or like a random scarf or whatever and I cover it. I cover the console with it so that he couldn't see at all. And take the controller as well. And just like, put it under there. And I would always have this like, one day like I was sitting on the couch and there was this like weird hat next to me. And I was doing my usual thing. But my dad's work ended early. Usually ends again at like 6 p.m. He just like stays up in his room all the time, just working, right? And one day it just ended early at like maybe like 4 or something like that. So I was playing games. I hear his footsteps come like down the stairs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you have Asian parents like me, it's like you kind of recognize their footsteps. You kind of recognize like, you know what I mean? It's like when somebody like walks down the stairs, you can kind of like know like, oh yeah, this is my mom walking down the stairs. Oh yeah, this is my brother walking down the stairs. And my dad would always wear these like slippers too, so they'd always like make like clanking noises every time he walks. So I like, yeah, that's my father. Like like instantly I knew it by like the first sound that he made. And so I heard him walking down the stairs, and at this point I'm just shitting my pants. All right, I'm shitting my pants. But all right, fuck, I need to hide all of this, otherwise he's gonna take it and just beat my ass, right? So obviously like the Xbox was already covered, so like that was no problem. But it came to the point where it was like, okay, it's too late to like go and run to like the little blanket that the Xbox was covered in and like just hide it under there because he would know. And because he always used to like check on me whenever he stopped working, whenever he took a break from his work, he would always used to check on me. And one day, like, or that day at least, I looked over like, okay, where else can I hide this controller? Like, I don't want to lose this controller. It's the only controller that I have when he broke the other one. And there was this little hat that was next to me. So like, all right, I'll just shove it in there. So I shoved it in the hat. He came down and said, hey, what's going on? I was like, oh yeah, I'm just like hanging out. Like I did all my schoolwork. I was just like on my phone, right? And my dad was like, oh, yeah, okay, fine. And then he just left. So, I kind of avoided that situation. But that was an instance of me just neurotically overthinking everything, where I was like, okay, I need to like figure out ways where I can still play games but not get caught. You know what I mean? It was like this high risk, high reward game of like, okay, I wouldn't get caught and I can also play games at the same time. So I guess that was just like another instance of me just neurotically overthinking everything, right? 99% of the time we should be in a peaceful state. So there's two states, right? There's the fight or flight state and the rest and digest state as well. The peaceful state, the rest and digest state, is what we should be in 99% of the time. For me, it wasn't like that. For me, I was in like the fight or flight state for like the majority of the day. Why? Because again, like, my father was home like most of the day. So, every time he would like walk upstairs, like, get some file or something from some other room. Again, like instantly the overthinking would start instantly, like clockwork, dude. That was just me being in the fight or flight state. And like during that time, like I could tell as well. Like, like the poops that I know that might sound weird. The poops that I would have, I would always get like constant diarrhea as well. Because being anxious releases a crap ton of cortisol. Cortisol is basically just a stress hormone. And the stress hormone just fucks up everything, right? Because again, 99% of the time we should be in the rest and digest state. When we're in like the stressful state, what our body is basically doing is like it's shoving blood to our muscles. It's shoving blood like to places, like to our legs especially, so like we can run away from danger. Because that's what we needed back then. We shouldn't hate on our fight or flight state, because we need it to survive. That's kind of how we survived for a couple million years, right? Because like, if there was a tiger around, it's like, okay, shit. Like our brain just like turns on and we're just like, yeah, we need to run right now. So our body doesn't have time to like, digest food or anything like that to like function normally. It just needs to like focus on surviving. So when it does that, it's like it just fucks up your health. The stress hormone. Now like there's like you kind of need mild amounts of stress for like, muscle tear and whatnot, fine. Some stress is good, but being stressed like all the time, it's not good at all for your hormones and for your just health in general, right? We need moderate amounts of stress, right, to like grow and whatnot, but not like this amount. Just neurotically overthinking all the time, being anxious all the time, afraid like he's gonna come down and like beat me again. So, and then trauma, PTSD, and CPTSD. CPTSD stands for complex PTSD. PTSD, if you didn't know, is post-traumatic stress disorder, right? So PTSD, like regular PTSD, happens after one traumatic event. So like, a car crash, for example. Maybe like a big war or something like that. And, PTSD would be like, if like an old war veteran hears fireworks and then like it instantly hits them and like, they're taken back to that wartime, like in Vietnam or something like that. CPTSD is like regular PTSD, but more, basically. CPTSD is something that develops after a series of traumatic events. So CPTSD is like regular PTSD, but repetitive. Right? So if you're like me, like you don't only just have PTSD, you have complex PTSD. Worst case scenario, it's complex PTSD that develops through childhood. And I'm probably gonna have to do like a whole video just explaining everything that I've learned on trauma and PTSD and whatnot. But it's like like PTSD, it affects like a lot of things that we do. Like like previously I had this mindset like, oh no, trauma's not that big of a deal. Like I'll just work hard and stuff. And that that was a valuable mindset to have. But it's not just about like PTSD. It kind of affects like your just like regular day-to-day life. You know, obviously, right? It affects your regular day-to-day life, but it affects like so many things that you might think are normal, but actually aren't. They actually aren't normal. So I'll give you a quick example, right? So I remember like I used to like always switch around with things. I would always like have new ideas. I would always like try new things. Like I've tried every single sport imaginable. Every single sport I've tried it. You know, I've tried a bunch of different, like I tried to be a dropshipper one time. I tried to like own an agency and stuff like that. Like watching Eman Gadget videos, right? I tried to like start YouTube, and obviously this is the thing that I'm doing now. I've tried so many different workout routines. You know, I'd like you're like, you know, calisthenics is the thing new to build muscle. And I would just do calisthenics and like, oh, actually, no, kettlebells and like or a thing like, and I just do kettlebells, and I did like, you know, only swimming for like 6 months. You know what I mean? Like I would always be flipping around from like thing to thing. So like ADHD, right? That's trauma, bro. Like that I know that might sound weird, but it's like that like inconsistent love that your parents gave you. Like that might be a root cause of just like ADHD, which I know might sound like really, really weird, but it's true. A lot of like this right here is probably like a big part of people's fucked up mental health because they've got trauma that they don't even realize, right? The two books that I'm reading right now on this are Complex PTSD from Surviving to Thriving by, I think it's Pete Walker. That's a good one. And then the one that I'm going to read eventually is The Body Keeps the Score. I don't know who it's by, but you can just search that one on Amazon. The Body Keeps the Score. I've heard from that book. It's kind of like the trauma, like it kind of gets like stored in your muscle. You know what I mean? It's like, so for some reason, I don't know why, but I've always had like tight legs. You know what I mean? It's like I've always had like really, really like tight like hamstrings and quads and hips and whatnot. You know, there's like people my age who like they seem like they don't even stretch one bit, and they can just like be flexible. For me, it's like I never even had that once. Maybe when I was like a little child, right? But even now, it's like still like I kind of feel like this tightness in just like, you know, my lower body in general. My upper body is like, you know, it's fine, but right now it's just lower body, right? So remember one time I was in yoga class, and there was this one stretch where we just had to, you know, we just had to like sit on our heels. Like, you know when like you see like Muslims pray, they kind of like sit down in like a kneeling position where like their butt touches their heels. So you know everybody was doing that, and I was the only one who could like barely even do it. Like my butt wouldn't even touch my heels. That's how inflexible I was. And like, you know, there was people who worked out like just like me, who didn't even stretch, who were way more flexible. And I was just like, what the hell is going on? And when I read that book, it's like your body keeps trauma and stress and all of this inside the muscle. And what you got to do is like, I guess like it might sound cringe, but like to like release the trauma or whatever, you need to like basically just stretch the muscle to get rid of like, you know, that tightness. So there's a lot of things here that are just like, I'm gonna have to do a whole video on this, but if you want to read both those books, Complex PTSD from Surviving to Thriving, Pete Walker, and then the Body Keeps the Score. You can just go look those up on Amazon if you want to have a read. Shit habits, right? So I overindulge in the standard bad habits that you can think of: porn, video games, shit food, social media, not exercising consistently, right? And I'm not gonna lie to you, these habits contributed to the bulk of my mental health problems. I know it's like cool to talk about like, yo, you know, like trauma and PTSD is the cause of like your life being shit. It's like, yeah, that's true. That could be true for a lot of people. it does play a part. Don't take these things for granted either, because look, hold on, focus on me, right? This right here, or like all of this, these habits are the foundation. All right, like I'm gonna be clear, like these are just the foundation. Like these are just the fundamentals. Why would you overlook the fundamentals? Like I know there's so many videos talking about this, so many videos talking about porn and video games and like improving your diet and like, get off social media and stuff like that. And I know you like, maybe you've watched a lot of them. You've heard like, yeah, I keep hearing this over and over again. It's like, yeah, I'll do it. But you don't actually do it. And then you don't actually get the benefit. And then like, you kind of just like sit there and be like, yeah, I know what to do, but I just won't do it. You kind of have this arrogance to you that I had as well, where it's like, yeah, you know, I already know about all of this. I already know about all this. Come on. Don't overlook these things, because these are the fundamentals. And listen, I'm telling you right now, even just keeping one of these, even just keeping one of them in your life will significantly decrease the quality of your life, even just keeping one. So I've gotten rid of basically all of these. I haven't fapped in like, God knows how long. I don't even remember the last time I watched porn. I haven't played video games seriously in like 3 years. I don't eat, well, I guess like maybe sometimes I might like eat out or something like that. Maybe I guess like that's the only one that I do like infrequently, right? I don't really use social media. Maybe like, I guess like YouTube does count as social media, even if it's more long form video focused. That's the only thing I watch. I just watch like long podcasts. And I exercise very consistently every single day. Not doing these things, watching porn, playing games for 16 hours a day, eating shit food that's not even food, by the way. It's like weird genetically modified, like random things. Eating that, constantly going on Instagram, constantly going on TikTok, and just being like an idiot, just not exercising at all. Sloth. These things contributed to the bulk of my mental health problems, and chances are they are too. Because if we go back here, listen, the reason why I was depressed, again, I tell you, because I wasn't living like a happy, healthy human should. I was doing all of these. Every single one of these habits I was doing. Of course I'm going to have shit mental health, duh. Because when you improve, like, listen, like you've probably heard this before, like the mind and body are way more connected than you think. Way more connected. Because, listen, I'll tell you this right now. If you think of a sexy thought right now, what happens? Well, your dick gets hard, doesn't it? I know that might sound like weird. It's true, right? Every single time you've done that, it's always happened. Every single time. So of course the mind and body, like they're way more connected than you think. Like your thoughts literally affect your body. Like the placebo effect, right? The placebo effect is basically just like the power of belief. It does work, and we're going to talk about beliefs later on. But the way to improve your mental health, a lot of the ways at least that I'm going to explain, is just to improve your physical health. And I know like you might have heard it like all the time, like, you know, you gotta exercise and make sure you eat enough protein, all that stuff. I know you might have heard it and it might sound like boring as fuck, but these are the fundamentals, and don't overlook these things. Even I sometimes like overlook these things, right? But it's very nice to be reminded of them. Always be reminded of the fundamentals. That's the foundation right there. If you have a weak foundation, like the building's not going to be as high. If you have a solid foundation, the building can go as high as you want it to. Worsening friendships, right? A lot of the friends that I had before used to be dicks. All right, they used to be just like, they weren't even my friends. All right, because right now, like I remember I used to think that friendship was just overindulging in instant gratification together. That's not friendship at all. Friendship is not about taking substances together. It's not about taking drugs together or anything like that. Friendship is about people who want you to improve. Friendship is about people who hold you to really, really high standards. Friendship is about people. It's about just growth with other people. It's about friends who actually support you in whatever you want to do, whatever that is. It's not about friends who like make fun of you or braid you or something. It's about friends who support you, who are positive to you, but also tell you the truth when you know or when they know that you fucked up. Even when I was spending time with them, I still felt lonely, right? Because these friends, I remember when I used to play games with them. Every single day, they would always make fun of each other and also me. You know, the times when like you used to play games with your friends, and they would be like, they would always just blame each other. Like, you know, when the whole squad dies because of something, they would always blame each other. Nobody would take responsibility. Nobody would be like, oh no, guys, that's my bad. I'm sorry about that. Nobody would say that. You know what they would say? They'd be like, oh no, but it's his fault. He did this and he did this and this and this. They were all just dicks to each other. And, you know, I was a dick sometimes as well. But I would always take the blunt of like everybody else's thing because no, like everybody else is like, I guess there's anger because nobody else would take responsibility for it. Nobody else would do that. I'm not gonna lie to you, sometimes it is better to be lonely than to have friends like this. Sometimes it is just better to just be alone than have like shit friends. Because when you're alone, I guess, at least nobody's insulting you. At least nobody's like providing a negative to your life. It's just you, right? But when you're friends with people like this, when you're friends with just dickheads, just assholes, right? They're not providing you anything of value at all. Nothing. At least when you're alone, it's like, okay, you kind of just have nobody, which is really, really sad, by the way. Like, people shouldn't live like that. People shouldn't live with nobody in their lives. But I did have to go through just a little bit of a lonely chapter when I first started. Because, well, just because I had friends like these. The people in your life right now who you just thought of when the slide came on, the video game friends, the friends that you take drugs with, the friends that, you know, you might drink alcohol with, whatever it is, right? They're not your friends. Chances are, right? They're not. Why? Because if your friendship revolves around instant gratification, if your friendship revolves around drugs and video games, which is another drug, by the way, don't cope here. Don't be an idiot. Video games is a drug. It revolves around alcohol, right? Because, like, you know, there's people our age who just drink alcohol for some reason because they're just idiots, right? They're not your friends. They're not. Because I guarantee you, I guarantee you this right now. Take the substance away. Take the substance away and see what happens. Take it away. I remember when I quit video games, those friends that I talked about, you know, who like used to like always call me like, yo, hop on the game, bro, come on. Never spoke to them ever again after that. Online, at least. You know, in real life, you know, we would see each other and be like, oh, hey, what's up? Like, why have you been on the game in a while, bro? When you, like, stop your addictions, when you stop your bad habits, because chances are, like, most of these friends that you have, these assholes, they're people from that general, like, area. You realize that they weren't your friends in the first place. And even, like, somebody, like, who's just negative to you in general, who thinks is your friend because, you know, you talk to them a little bit. They like talk to you about like some random shit. They're not your friend, they're just assholes. They're just dicks. Why would you be friends with people who are just dicks to you? Why? Like, have some self, like, like, yeah, you might see them in class or something like that. Maybe you sit next to each other, fine. Maybe that's like the only time you talk to them. You just have to deal with them at that point. And they might try and like, make fun of you and like, like say some random bullshit to you. Again, they're never your friends to begin with. Never your friends to begin with. Because I know this every time. Like, there's that one guy right now who popped up in your head, who's just a dick to you in school for like some reason. He's just an absolute just dickhead, right? He's not your friend at all. You're coping right now, saying, "Oh no, you're just being honest, bro. You're just being this and this and this." You're just scared to let go of friends, and I was too, right? I was scared to let go of friends because I was afraid I'd be lonely forever, right? But listen, it is better to be lonely for a little bit, not forever, for just a little bit, than to have friends like this. It is genuinely better than that. Loneliness is genuinely better than having friends who are just dicks to both to you and also to like other people as well. These friends are not your friends. Not one bit. So stop coping. All right, so we've covered that. What caused my mental health to deteriorate? Now, let's go over what I did about it. First of all of these mental health problems are fixable. They are, and I'm living proof of that. They are 100% fixable. Take responsibility. All right, some of these, like, they might not be your fault. They might not like have been directly caused by you, which is probably just another cope. For example, like maybe trauma. Example, like that wasn't caused by you. That was somebody else's fault. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to fix it. It is your responsibility to fix it. Just for maybe not for anybody else, but just for you. All right. Because if you've been watching this far, 37 minutes, most people have already clicked off by now. Most people can't even last 30 seconds into the video. You need to take responsibility. You need to be like, yeah, a lot of these things, some of the things I did caused my mental health to be shit. Maybe like trauma, again, for example. I didn't do that to myself, but it is my responsibility to help, just cure my trauma. It is my responsibility to improve my mental health. So just take responsibility for it. So your actionable step, first one, make your habit tracker. Just like this is the one I've made here. You need to have these 4 habits written on it. Exercise, gratitude, meditation, and adventure. And I'll explain all of these in the coming slides. But just make a habit tracker just like this. Put the day of the month, whatever the month that you're watching this in. It's like maybe June or July, right? And just order it just like this. So like June and 18 or 17, 18, 19, 20, etc. Until you get to July or whatever month you're seeing this in, and then write again 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Right? Come on, like just just make this, bro. Come on. This is gonna be very useful for the things I'll explain later on. So let's go over exercise, right? A big part of improving my mental health was improving my physical health, because again, the mind and body, you've heard this before, they're very, very connected. Very connected. All right? Big part of improving it, or my mental health, was just improving the physical side of things. So when I first started out in the gym, my brother made me do this simple ass workout: push-ups, pull-ups, squats, band-resisted overhead press, and band-resisted bicep curls. So when we first started working out, it was in the COVID lockdown, and we didn't have access to gyms, right? So hold on, again, focus on me. We didn't have access to gyms. So what we did was, my brother bought some cheap resistance bands from like Amazon. And what we would do is we would like step on the so the band's just basically like a big loop, right? So we would step on one side of the loop, so like lock it in place. He'd come up, he'd bring it like to his shoulders, and he'd just shoulder press up, just like this. Same thing with bicep curls. You take the band, you like curl it in, just like basically just like how you'd hold a dumbbell, and just curl it just like that. That's what we would do. And then push-ups, pull-ups, squats, stuff like that. Even doing one push-up today is still better than doing absolutely nothing. All right? Because, maybe you haven't even been going to the gym at all. Maybe you haven't even started yet. And so we need to just level up this skill. Like, you remember in a video game where it was like, there was like a certain like quest or certain like task or certain like object or like whatever it was, but you need to be a high enough level for it first. The 2 hour workout like that you want to hit, right? You can't go hit the 2 hour workout yet. You need to start by just hitting a couple push-ups first, a couple squats first. Because I guarantee you right now, like the 2 hour workout is like a big bundle of experience, like 400 experience, 500 experience. But you need to level up to that first. You need to start by doing one push-up today and just gain 2 experience. And again, even doing one push-up is still better than doing nothing. One push-up is infinitely more push-ups than you've been doing for the past like years, right? So your action step here, drop down right now and do one push-up. Even if you have to do it on your knees, right? Even if you might not even be strong enough to do one, that's fine. Just drop down right now. Do one push-up. Do it with good form. Go all the way down. Touch your chest to the very floor. Press all the way back up, just locking out your elbows, right? And then check off the exercise box in your habit tracker. So remember that habit tracker that we made. Boom, just tick that off for today. Now you might say like, okay, but I did one push-up. That doesn't really like do shit, right? We need to apply the principle of progressive overload to every single one of these habits. Every single one. One push-up right now, it's not really going to do anything. I'm not going to lie. That one push-up, however, will lead to 2 tomorrow. That one push-up those 2 push-ups will lead to you doing 10 the next day, and then 20, and then 30. And then, maybe you add squats in, maybe you add pull-ups in, and then eventually, you're starting to go to the gym and you hit your first gym session. It's about these small wins that you accumulate, because actually, I'm not gonna lie to you, you should be really proud of this right now. Why? Because you just actually took action. You've watched 43 minutes of this video. This video, there's like no cuts, there's no like fancy editing or anything. It's just me yapping with a presentation. If you made it this far, you've done that one push-up. You actually should be really, really proud. Because you actually have a good attention span, so that you can actually pay attention to a video like this that's over 40 minutes long. Most people can't even like pay attention to like an edited YouTube short, an edited TikTok. So you should be proud of this, by the way, because this is you've already made progress right here by just doing this. You've already made progress by just clicking on this video as well. This right here, this is huge progress. It's infinitely more push-ups than you've been doing for the past years. And you just need to progressively overload back up. Progressive overload is just slowly increasing the weight, the intensity, the sets and whatnot in the gym. But this applies to just like life in general, I think, because this is how I was able to start working out, by just doing a couple push-ups, by doing that simple ass workout that my brother did with me. So let's talk about diet, right? My diet used to be absolute trash. I remember I used to eat like an absolute pig, and I was still skinny too. Weird shit like chicken nuggets, like fries and pizza and like Oreos and ice cream and whatnot. I would always used to eat that. And if you eat like shit, you feel like shit, all right? That's just true. Because your diet, it plays a much bigger role than you think. A much bigger, hey, come on, focus on me, bro, come on. It plays a much bigger role than you think. All right? The way that I fixed my diet was by making healthy meals that are still tasty, and then again, progressive overload works too. So the thing here is to eat foods that your great grandparents would recognize as food, which are just single ingredient foods, right? So like meat, eggs, milk, fruit, honey, potatoes, things like that. Things that have one ingredient. What's the ingredient in eggs? Eggs. What's the ingredient in honey? Honey. What is it? Okay, what are the ingredients? Multiple ingredients, right? What are the ingredients in Oreos? Freaking God knows what, right? Like there's like random food colorings, like random seed oils and like artificial flavors and whatnot, like just like wheat. That's not even real food. Like these things right here, these listed things, like these are real food. These are real things that we've been eating for like thousands of years. What the fuck is an Oreo? If you gave an Oreo to your great grandparents, right? So not your parents, not your grandparents, but your grandparents' parents. If you gave them an Oreo, what would they say? हे काय बेटा काही नुसतं काहीतरी ठेवलं इथे. Those are at least my great grandparents, right? But they would say like, what is this? What is this like weird little like circle that you gave me? So you need to understand like the majority of like a lot, like, I guess like this is the majority of health in general is just diet and exercise. And if you eat like shit, you feel like shit. And so this was a huge part for me, just improving my diet. The way that I did it is making healthy meals that are so tasty, right? So your action step, pick one meal out of your daily routine, whatever that is. Make it incredibly healthy. So an example of this is replacing cereal, maybe that's your breakfast food, with yogurt, fruit, and honey. Yogurt, fruit, and honey tastes better, by the way, just so you know. It tastes way better than cereal ever could. But it's like, there's so many people who say like, oh, you need to improve your diet, you need to stop scrolling, you need to like exercise and stuff. But they never explain how to do it. The way I did it was one, just replacing meals with healthier versions that are still tasty, by the way. Like if you try this right now, yogurt, fruit, and honey, it's very good. It's like very tasty. It's very sweet, right? If you have a sweet tooth like me, you can absolutely eat this and be totally fine. Like right now, like you kind of like start to develop a little bit of an addiction to the healthy food. Just a little bit, right? Like imagine this, like imagine like the same addiction that you have to cereal or to like sugary treats and whatnot, you have to the healthy food that you eat. That's the best case scenario, right? Well, I'm here right now, and the way that I did it was just replacing the meals that are still with healthier ones that are still tasty and progressively overloading it. So you don't have to change your whole diet straight away. All right, you don't have to do that. What you can do is you can take one meal, replace it with a healthier version, and then slowly do that for all the meals over the course of your day. So like, you might have, you might eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? For breakfast, you eat cereal. For lunch, you eat like a pizza and some like a ranch and french fries. And for dinner, you might eat like a tub of ice cream, right? That was me, at least. And you can just replace that slowly. So like one day you can replace whatever it is, breakfast, for example, cereal, with this right here. You can replace pizza with like, some meat and eggs and whatnot. Vegetables, fruits. You can replace dinner with like maybe not eating ice cream so close to bed, right? It's just these simple things Single ingredient foods, foods that have one ingredient. The ingredient in potatoes is potato. The ingredient in chicken is chicken. The ingredient in apple is apple, right? Single ingredient foods. They still taste good, by the way. You just got to season them and learn how to cook them correctly. They still taste fine. All right, so single ingredient foods, huge, absolutely massive. This really, really helped me a lot. Like slowly, like implementing meals that are way healthier, that are still tasty, by the way. This helped me so much. Sleep, right? So I used to have terrible sleep, obviously, right? But not just because of like, like bad habits and whatnot, but again, because of just PTSD and trauma and stuff. You have no idea how much like trauma and PTSD actually affects your sleep. I remember I wore like a little like Whoop tracker, a little Whoop band. Apparently it's like it's really fairly accurate, and it says that I wake up around 40 times per night. I consciously remember like 6. Now, obviously, I stopped wearing the Whoop tracker because because again, like I used to be like that guy who was like so obsessed over the data and whatnot. I always feel bad about the data. Like I'd wake up, I'd wake up and I'd feel fine, and then the Whoop tracker would be like, "Oh no, but actually, no, your HRV is like 26, and you can't work out today because your recovery is at like 30%." I'm like, "What? What are you talking about? Like I feel fine?" You know what I mean? It's like, so I used to like just overthink about the data and stuff like that, but that's a separate topic. Even now, when I still don't get good sleep, I feel like shit. Like listen, you don't realize how much of an impact sleep gets. Even when I exercise and I eat good food and I, have purposeful work, and I'm social and everything like that. When I have good sleep, my life quality of life, even when I do all of the good habits, decreases significantly. Please trust me, like this is a huge part of it. Bad sleep makes your life 100% of your life works, and good sleep makes 100% of your life better. Don't overlook this at all. This is huge, bro. This is absolutely massive, all right? So like, and there's like people who have like insomnia. There's people who have like who like sleep too much, and I I don't know the answer to that. I'm not someone who knows everything, so you might need to watch some other video if if you have like insomnia or something like that. But if you're like me, and like you can sleep fine, then your actionable step is to just watch the sleep guide that I made. So I have a video titled "How to Finally Improve Your Sleep." It's just a a short guide, 36 minutes, where I just go over what improved my sleep or what worked for me. There's so many things that like I tried that didn't work. In that video, I just share what worked for me. So after this video, you can go and watch that and finally improve your sleep as well. If you want like extra like resources and whatnot, I can link Huberman's podcast on sleep, which is absolutely massive. Like Andrew Huberman is, if you don't know, he's like a neuroscientist at like Stanford University, and he talks a lot about like like science-based tools to like improve your health. He's like just pure education, right? Like a really, really high quality, and he has like a multiple podcasts on how to like improve your sleep. You can go and watch that as well. You can go and watch my video if you want. It's just work for me. But yeah, that's your actionable step. Mindfulness, right? Mindfulness or presence is the skill of focusing on the present moment, right? You've heard this before many, many times. Presence listen, I know you're like reading the text on the screen right now, but hold on, just focus on me. Presence destroys anxiety and depression. So depression, you've probably heard this before as well, but depression is just living in the past. Depression is just being like hopeless. It's just another form of mindlessness. Same with anxiety, right? The way to cure mindlessness is presence, is mindfulness. And I'll just drop a little quote from Master Oogway. Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery. But today is a gift. That is why it's called the present. So, I think you should listen to Master Oogway on this one, bro. So, again, we cure mindlessness through mindfulness, which we get through meditation. Right now, I know you've heard this a billion times before. You gotta meditate, bro. It's good for you and stuff. Here's the thing. Don't be that fat guy who's mad he can't bench press 700 pounds yet. Because right now, you're that fat guy. Like, imagine this, right? Imagine you walk into the gym, like there's a fat guy there, and he hits one workout. And after that workout, he's mad at you. He's like, but I'm mad, bro. And he's like, and you ask him, like, why are you mad? Like, you just walked in the gym and hit your first workout. That's great, right? But he's like, but I can't bench press 700 pounds. What would you say to him? What would you say to that fat guy who, in his first day in the gym, is mad he couldn't bench press 700 pounds? You would say, well, yeah, you probably can't right now. You need to start with the empty bar and work your way back up. Progressive overload, right? There's so many people, even I did this as well. I remember I meditated for the first time for a long time ago. And, I was mad. I was like, wait, this didn't even do anything. Like, I sat there and I'd like focus on my breath, as all these YouTubers say, but it didn't even do shit. And then I was like, hold on, let me just use common sense here. Of course I didn't do anything because I've been mindless for the past 13, 14 years of my life. Of course I didn't really do much. I need to just have this humility and be like, yeah, I'm just going to do it every single day for a couple of years and see what happens. Same thing with the gym. Same thing with this, right? So this is how meditation works. You start with presence. You get mind wandering because, your mind is just going to wander. Like, hold on, do this right now. Take a breath with me, a mindful breath with me right now. Just like... During that one mindful breath, I guarantee you your mind wandered. Guarantee. Now you think right now, like, no, it didn't wander. But here's the thing, it does. Like, our mind wanders way more than we realize. But we don't actually realize it. We don't realize that we're thinking the thought because we are the thought itself. I know that just might sound like weird and shit. We are our thoughts themselves. And so when we're thinking, we don't realize that we're like being mindless or that we're thinking about anything because, again, we are the thought itself. So you get mind wandering. Then what happens is you get the realization that your mind is wandering, right? So this is a big one. This is the realization of mind wandering, which is when, you start with presence, your mind wanders, and then you're like, oh, wait a second, I wasn't thinking about my breath. I was thinking about some girl that I have a crush on. I was thinking about that homework assignment that I have to do. You get the realization of this, and then you refocus back onto the breath, refocus back onto the present moment. That's one rep, and then you get back to presence, right? That's one rep. That's one rep for the brain. That's like one bench press rep for the brain. You're strengthening the brain this way. And this doesn't just have to be like just during meditation. You can do this like all the time. So for example, I'll be sitting there, taking a shit, right? And usually when I take a shit, that's usually when I get the most video ideas. I know that might sound weird, but it's like when I'm in the shower, when I'm just like hanging out, staring at the wall, that's usually when I get like a bunch of video ideas, right? Of more full guides that I can make. And, sometimes my mind will wander as well. My mind will think about something else. Some random girl that I have a crush on. Again, like that one homework assignment that you have to do that you should be doing instead of watching this video, right? And what I do is I just refocus back on to the most important task. Refocus back onto what I was thinking about previously. Refocus back onto the goals, right? And you can do this with anything. So, like if you're like watching this video, for example, you might have checked the suggested videos. You might have like done something else whilst you're watching this video, because the video is basically just an hour long, right? And what you can do is you can refocus back onto the thing that you need to focus on. So you might get like a bunch of like random thoughts, mindless thoughts throughout this video. You probably have, right? You've probably been like mindless throughout all of this, unless I just pointed it out. But what you can then do is then you can refocus back onto the thing. And again, that's another rep. That's how I cure my ADHD, for example. No need for medication. No need for any of that. I know for a fact that this is a modern day problem and I can fix it myself. I know that like our caveman ancestors, they probably did not have this, right? This was huge for me. So, take one mindful breath with me right now, right? So just follow my hand. Breathe in through your nose. Like really, really like fill your stomach with breath as well. Like just like when you breathe, you should breathe in deeply through your nose and you should let your belly like just fill up, right? And then breathe out. That one mindful breath right there. Infinitely more progress than you've made in the past couple months. Infinitely more. You just gained like 2 experience in like the mindfulness skill. Check off the mindfulness box in your habit tracker. Boom. And again, like, like the same thing with the exercise, like the push-ups. Is it going to do anything? Maybe not. What this will do, though, this one breath of mindfulness will lead to 2 tomorrow. It'll lead to a 1-minute meditation test, and then a 5, and then a 10. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's like the same thing with progressive overload. Refocusing back onto the breath, every single time. And that's what worked for me, at least, right? But again, like this will lead to like 2 breaths tomorrow. This will lead to a 1-minute meditation session, then a 5, and then a 10. Because like, again, don't be that fat guy who tries to bench press 800 pounds. It's not going to work. You got to start with the empty bar first, right? Gratitude. Gratitude is about just appreciating what you have. This, like, it helped me a lot because I stopped looking at the world in such a negative light. We all have something to be grateful for, and if you don't think so, you're lying. You're lying. You're just coping, right? Because, hold on. You 100% have something to be grateful for. 100%. In fact, I have a journal. Hold on. I have a journal right here with over. Hold on. I have a journal with over 426 things that I wrote down that I'm grateful for. 426. 400. Over 400 things that I could be grateful for. 400. All right, like, hold on. You can see here. Obviously, like, it's like backwards and whatnot, but again, 426. You think right now, like, oh, there's nothing to be grateful for. Like, oh, like people hurt me and all this stuff. We all have something to be grateful for, every single one of us. Every one of us. You all have something to be grateful for. Because, there's people, you've heard this from your parents as well, there's people. Well, let me take this off. It's kind of like rubbing against my chest there. There we go. There's people that you know right now people in Syria and Africa and like, you know, these like poorly developed countries that don't have what you have. There's people right now who like don't even have food. They don't even have water. Like, I know you've heard this a billion times, you know, from your parents and whatnot, but it's true. You definitely have something to be grateful for. You have a roof over your head. You have food on the table. You have parents who actually care about you. You have clothes that you can wear. You have a chair to sit on. You have a bed to sleep on. What isn't there to be grateful for? There's always something that you can find that you can actually genuinely appreciate, right? So again, write down one thing you're grateful for. You absolutely have something to be grateful for, again, because like in that journal, over 426 things that I was grateful for. 426. You can at least write down one. What is something that you're grateful for? I'll tell you something I'm grateful for today. I'm grateful for this microphone. You know, previously, like a bunch of like the videos that I recorded, they used to be just with my phone microphone, and you know, that was fine. But I'm grateful for this one because, you know, it allowed me to like provide higher audio quality to you. Do you see how like nice that was? That's something that I'm grateful for. That's just one thing. But again, what is one thing that you're grateful for? Maybe it's your parents. Maybe it's like the clothes that you're wearing. Maybe it's like your bed. Maybe it's like your debt. It could be anything. What is it? Just write that down and check off the gratitude box in your habit tracker. You just leveled up your gratitude skill right there. Because the happiest people, I think, are the most grateful. They appreciate what they have. And I think you should too. This is very, very, very powerful. I know that this might sound like cringe or like, oh yeah, you already know this stuff. If you already knew this stuff, you wouldn't even like need me to tell you any of this. You would have already been doing this. You would have already had like good mental health. So the fact that you don't like provides me with the fact that you don't know this as much as you think, and you still need to practice this. So right now, get a piece of paper, maybe write it down in your phone or something like that, on your computer, whatever. What are you grateful for today? What is it? Anything, could be anything. Write that down, check off the gratitude box in your habit tracker. Just writing down one thing you're grateful for every single day is massive. Huge. Let's talk about adventure, right? So going outside in nature improved my mental health and mood a lot, right? Touching grass, bro, come on. Even just stepping outside of your house and taking a little walk in your garden or lawn area is huge. You know, it's like, right now it's a pretty nice day outside. I would be an absolute idiot if I didn't walk around my lawn a little bit, if I didn't like, you know, go out with my mom or with like my friends or whatnot. I would be an absolute idiot if I didn't do that, if I didn't just like go outside. We're not meant to spend all of our waking hours inside a box. Like humans, we're not supposed to like spend all day in our houses. We're supposed to like, you know, be outside in nature with other people, other creatures. This is like an absolute like massive improvement to, or this is going to provide an absolute improvement, massive improvement to your mental health. Because again, I told you before that my mental health reached an all-time low during the pandemic and during the lockdown. We didn't even go outside. We just spent all day in these little boxes that we built. Of course it's going to be shit. You need to like go outside and see greenery and see the sun, see the sky. And that's something to appreciate as well. Right now, I want you to pause this video. Pause this video right now and go outside and look at a tree. Like, go outside and just admire a tree. Like really, really look at the tree. Look at like all the designs. Look at like maybe all like the little ants and bugs on it. After you're done, check off the adventure box in your habit tracker. So go right now, pause this video, and go outside and just look at a tree right now. By now, you should have paused this video and went outside and looked at a tree. If not, you're a bitch. If you didn't do that, just know that you're just being a little bitch right now, and you just can't go outside and touch grass. If you did do that, massive respect, good on you. You can actually, take action and like listen to things. Just check off the adventure box in your habit tracker as well. Let's talk about self-love, right? True self-love is about being as disciplined as possible. Self-love is not about overindulging in instant gratification. That's how we develop self-hatred. The times when I hated myself the most were the times when, again, I was doing all of those bad habits: porn, fapping 2 times a day, playing games for 16 hours every single day, eating shit food. Being undisciplined made me hate myself. Think about that, right? Being undisciplined, not doing like doing those like BS like self-care days or whatever the fuck. It made me hate myself. I hated who I was. I didn't like the person that I saw in the mirror. I know that might sound like cringe and whatnot, but it's true, right? When I started to be more disciplined, I started to love myself more. True self-love is about being as disciplined as you possibly can. That's what real self-love is. True self-love is not about self-harm. It's not about those habits, because, again, those habits are effectively self-harm, right? It's not about that. It's about holding yourself to the high standards that you set for yourself. I think that's what self-love is. Because being disciplined is just thinking about your future self. Like, imagine this, right? Like, imagine you watch this full guide to the very end. You take action on every actionable step. You're thinking about your future self. You're thinking about, I want my future self's mental health to be better, because you're going to become him eventually. You're going to become your future self. And so a lot of people are just dicks to their future selves. And I was too, right? I was a dick to my future self. I sacrificed tomorrow's happiness for today's pleasure multiple times. For years, right? Why are you being a dick to your future self? Don't you want to love yourself? True self-love, right? It's about being as disciplined as you possibly can. That's really what it is. It's not about overindulging in instant gratification. It's not this. True self-love is about waking up early and working as hard as you possibly can. True self-love is about not wanting to go to the gym but going anyway. True self-love is about eating the foods that you know are actually good for you. True self-love is about going to sleep on time. That's what real self-love is, and that's how you actually love yourself as well. Chances are right now, your brain generates a bunch of negative thoughts about yourself. And yeah, that is probably true for a lot of people. Because when I had this problem, I decided to manually put positive thoughts in my head, right? So there's 2 kinds of thoughts. There's manual thoughts, and then there's automatic thoughts. The automatic thoughts are like the thoughts that you get just on like a daily basis, like 99% of the time. You know those times when like you look in the mirror. What does your brain say about your body? What does it say? Does it say positive thoughts about yourself? What? Probably not. Or does it say negative thoughts? Probably doesn't say positive thoughts, right? Definitely says negative thoughts, or at least that was the case for me, because I remember when I used to look at myself in the mirror, always I would get negative thoughts. Always I'd be like, yeah, your arms are too small. Your calves are non-existent. You got small forearms. Even when I started going to the gym, even when I started improving my physique, it was still there. I just need to manually put positive thoughts in my head. So manual thoughts are like the thoughts that you say to yourself, like, I am strong, I am confident, I am this, I am that, right? Over time, the automatic thoughts I started to have became more positive. Over time, the automatic thoughts I had started to become more positive, right? Because the manual thoughts that I was inputting in were positive, like all the time. Start by manually saying true positive things about yourself, right? So hold on, again, focus on me, right? Don't like I'm not saying to like be like egotistical. I'm not saying to sit here and be like, yeah, like I'm the champion of the world, I'm the best, like I'm the most disciplined guy, I'm rich, I'm this and that. It's like those things might not be true. Like yeah, like I guess they're positive, fine, but they're not true. Well, you can say like true positive things about yourself, even if you haven't like made much progress. You can say like, instead of fapping twice today, I only fap once. I'm proud of that. That's huge progress. I did 5 push-ups today. That's great. You can say to yourself like, I only play games for 2 hours today instead of 10. That's great, dude. I know that might sound like weird, but like that's actually huge. You can say to yourself, I went to the gym today. I went to bed on time today. I ate clean today. Those are some good like automatic, like not automatic, those are some good manual positive thoughts that you can say about yourself. You can say to yourself like, I'm becoming more disciplined. I'm improving my mental health. Like like Tate, right? Like I was like, oh, Andrew Tate, the toxic massages or whatever, fine, right? But he has this mindset where it's like he doesn't say things that take power away from him. Do we agree with everything that Tate says? No, probably not, right? But that's something that we can learn, right? Is that, yeah, he's kind of right about that, which is like, why would you have thoughts about yourself that take power away from you? Why wouldn't you only have thoughts that benefit you in some way? So this is your action step right now. Just say positive things just about yourself. You can even, again, like some of the things I listed, you can say like, I'm making more progress. I'm becoming more disciplined. I'm improving my mental health. I went to the gym today. Those are some like positive, like manual thoughts that you can say about yourself that will eventually start to improve the automatic thoughts as well. Because right now, like my brain, it doesn't say negative things about me. It only, like, even when I might not be doing well, my brain will say, oh, come on, like you can do better. You're way more disciplined than that, right? It won't say like, oh, you're a slob, oh, you're a loser. It won't say that. It'll still say like positive, encouraging things. Why wouldn't you want a brain that does that? Why wouldn't you want your own brain to do that? Let's talk about phone usage, right? So social media fucked up my mental health, obviously, because these apps are like, they're basically just evil as fuck, and they know what they're doing, and they keep you hooked on the platform for a very, very, very long time. And this is something very important that you need to realize. You're worth more than what social media makes you feel. All right? You're worth way more than that. Because the people you see, like, listen, the people you see on social media, a lot of them, they've probably edited their pictures. Like, like all like the fitness influencers that you follow, they took a pump, or they got a pump, and they took a photo with great camera angles in the best lighting, and they probably also edited it. Like the instant, like you know, you might have like an Instagram crush or something like that. If you saw your Instagram crush in real life, you would throw your phone in a dumpster, because people on social media, like, they only present the best versions of themselves currently. They only present like the best life. That's not really them, and you shouldn't compare yourself to them either, because again, what is comparison? It's the thief of joy. You shouldn't compare yourself to anybody else. Compare yourself only to who you were yesterday, not to who somebody else is today. All right? Because again, you are worth way more than what social media makes you feel. Way more than that. Chances are social media is not benefiting your life in any way right now. The only one I would say that like maybe could provide some benefit is YouTube. Maybe like the one you're watching this on right now. Maybe YouTube. Because again, you can filter out what people you follow. You can filter out what videos you watch. If you watch like educational full guides like this, if you watch like podcasts that are like educational with like Chris Williamson, like Andrew Huberman, stuff like that, right? That is huge, because that's actually like providing value to you, because you're actually like, you know, learning things. If your social media consumption is just using Instagram, scrolling on Instagram Reels, looking at a girl take photos of her ass, going onto TikTok and just scrolling on there, that's a waste of time. This is not like some like whoa, I'm a Sigma male, bro. It's not about like some cringe shit like that. It's just about like, what are you doing on your time? Like, what are you doing with social media? Like, what are you consuming, I guess we could say. Are you consuming educational content like this? Are you consuming full guides? Are you consuming a podcast? Are you consuming like videos that actually help you? Or are you consuming basically just softcore porn on Instagram? I know for me, it was definitely the latter. And because of that, again, it fucked up my mental health. Your actionable step: delete it off your phone and your computer. Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, they don't provide any value to you. And again, like, there's so many people who say like, oh yeah, you need to like delete these apps, but like, for me at least, when I deleted them, I like eventually found myself again on the app, because I didn't like find something else to replace it with. Because again, the majority of my time was spent with what? Playing video games, fapping, and scrolling on Instagram and TikTok and whatnot, right? So I needed to replace it. I needed to replace it with something else. What I replaced it with was long form educational content. So replace scrolling on TikTok and Instagram and whatnot with reading and watching educational content. So you just replace it, right? So the time you spend on TikTok and Instagram, which is what, like maybe 8 hours per day? For me, it was probably like maybe like 4 to 5, because again, most of my time was spent playing video games, right? If you replace that with just reading books, any book you want to read, you know, you don't have to just like, you don't have to just like only read self-improvement books, bro. Those are still valuable. You can absolutely still read those. But if you want to read some certain story that you like, or you want to like, you know, like read some history book or whatnot, whatever you're interested in, read that. That is much more valuable. That is a great way to spend your time. Much better use of time than watching TikTok and then watching educational content as well. So full guides like this, Andrew Huberman's like a good podcaster to watch, Chris Williamson, A Diary of a CEO, you like Lex Friedman, stuff like that, right? Replace it with this, because if you don't, then you're just gonna like not be on social media, but you're gonna sit there and be bored and then download social media again and waste time, right? And for me, like the only I guess social media that I have is just YouTube and maybe like WhatsApp, something like that. Like, and YouTube is a social media, by the way, even if it's more long form video focused. You know, there's so many people who are like, "Oh, I'm getting off of social media. I'm quitting social media," on their social media, which is like, you know, that YouTube is still social media, right? It still is, but I think it's better than Instagram and TikTok because, like, these two are just like digitized CCP slot machines. With YouTube, at least, you can kind of like filter out the content that you watch. You at least have some level of control of like the content that you like consume on YouTube. Again, if you only watch educational, like long form videos and podcasts and whatnot that actually help you. Quitting addictions, right? The way I quit all of my addictions was to change, again, self-belief, right? Change my identity and replace the bad habits with good habits. So I started to change my identity from this addicted, little traumatized kid to the disciplined athlete with good mental and physical health. I replaced porn with going to the gym. I replaced wasting time on Instagram with watching educational content, reading. I replaced shit food with healthy food, etc., etc., right? So let's talk about this. So identity. Huge thing for porn, especially for me. Because I reframed, this is how I was able to make a lot of progress in terms of like, you know, porn and fapping and whatnot. I reframed my identity to like that guy who just doesn't watch porn. It's just not part of my life anymore. Like, I was like, okay, like, I just don't even fap. Like, I'm not some guy who like just trying to quit porn or trying to like quit jerking off, because again, that's still going to be ingrained into your identity and you're going to be like thinking about it. You're like, oh, I'm quitting, bro. Whereas the guy who's like, oh yeah, I just don't do it, he's probably going to make more progress, right? So I started to change my identity, and that really helped a lot. And then replacing that with something else. I replaced video games with going to the gym because I wanted something else to level up in. Because I wanted that same feeling of leveling up. But I was like, okay, I can do that in real life through just the gym. That's what my brother said to me. Like, you can level up in real life. You can get stronger and faster and bigger and stuff in real life instead of the game. So the gym kind of became just my new video game at that point. I replaced social media. I replaced scrolling, like I said before, right? I replaced it with long form educational content, reading books, learning, because learning is not a bad thing. Learning is actually like really important. It's actually kind of fun, I'm not gonna lie. The reason why we think learning is bad is because we associate learning and education with school, which has bastardized learning. But learning and education is actually like, it's good when it comes to like, you know, stuff like this. So I started to change my identity. I started to change my beliefs, and I replaced all of the bad habits with good ones. Because if you just quit the bad habits and you don't replace them, you're just going to be sitting there bored, and you're going to eventually find yourself fapping again. You're going to eventually find yourself on the video game again. At least that was the case for me. So, yeah, that's how I quit most of my. I'll probably make like a full guide on quitting just a lot of addictions like this. But in a nutshell, this is just what I did. And so hopefully that you can, you know, implement some of this, and maybe like, again, like, this is very oversimplified, and I'm gonna have to make like another full guide on everything. A lot of the topics that I cover here, like trauma and stuff like that, because I think those things are really important. This is another one, identity, self-belief, bro. I'm telling you, change your beliefs because the beliefs are your foundation. And you might say like, oh no, this is like you're just being delusional and whatnot. If you start to think about this, right? If you start to change your belief into being, again, that disciplined athlete with good mental and physical health who doesn't watch porn, who doesn't play games, you're going to start to act like that guy, and then you're going to eventually become him. That was the case for me, right? And again, replacing them. So these two really, really helped me. Improving my relationship with my parents. If you're like me, and your parents like hurt you when you were a child, I understand if you've been hurt by your parents. For me, it was just my father, right? Holding resentment is not going to solve the problem. That's what you have right now, right? Don't be a little bitch. You have resentment right now. And listen, I did too. I also had resentment for how my parents treated me when I was a child, right? Oh man, my throat is so dry, bro. I've been talking for an hour and a half. Be grateful. My father worked tirelessly for over 20 years to provide for me and my family. Like my father worked for like over like 70 hours a week for like years and years to provide for me and my family after, he moved from India with my mother. And my mother has kept the house running for much longer than that. Taking care of me and my brothers all the time. She clothed us, she fed us, she took us to school, she took us to a sports practice. She cleaned all our clothes, she made all our food, she did a lot of things for us. The same with my father as well. Why wouldn't I be grateful for that? I'm grateful for the efforts that my father put in. I'm grateful for the efforts that my mother put in to take care of me and my brothers and my whole family as well. Why wouldn't I be grateful for that? They literally gave me life. They literally, that's one of the best gifts, right? They gave me life. I used to think that there was nothing that I could be grateful for that my father had done. When I stopped to think, and I wrote some things down, I realized there was so much. Right now, you might hold resentment to your father. Maybe your father hurt you. Maybe it's your mother. Whoever it is for you. Understand that there's much more to be grateful for than you think. Much more. Your parents literally gave birth to you. Your parents took care of you for so long. Of course they have their flaws. Everybody does, right? And I know they might have traumatized you. They might have done this and that. But listen. Please listen. Holding resentment is not going to help fix the problem. It's not. It's only going to be a detriment. You need to move on from this. And listen, resentment also, being grateful. Be grateful for what they've done for you. Right now, don't be hold this arrogant mindset, oh yeah, they didn't do anything for it. Yes, they did, bro. Come on. My father worked sleep deprived for over 20 years, bro. He's been stressed out for so long to provide for just me and my family. My mother, same thing. I'm grateful for that. And you should be grateful for what your parents have done too. Don't think just because you're watching a video like this, you're on self-improvement or whatnot, that you're better than everybody. That's not what I think. There's way more people that are better than me, and you should absolutely hold your parents to the highest respect that you can. 100%. Because, again, just because your parents might not be on self-improvement or anything like that, that absolutely does not mean that you can be a dick to them. it does not mean that you can be a dick to them. Your parents have worked for you for years, for as long as you've been alive, maybe even more than that. Be grateful for that, please. Blaming them again is not going to work. You need to stop holding resentment, start being grateful. Level up your gratitude skill. And again, we've covered how to do that by just gratitude journaling, right? But being grateful for other things, especially your parents too. I remember one time, there was one day where like I wrote a bunch of things down that my father was, that I was grateful for that my father did for me. And afterwards, I went up to him and gave him a hug. And I told him that I'm grateful for what he has done for us. I'm grateful for everything that he did for my family. And I think that was the first time that I saw my father cry in a very long time. You don't realize how powerful this can be. My father, well, I guess he didn't really cry, like, but he got pretty emotional, right? Even just hugging your parents. I get like, like when I hugged my dad and I told him like, you do even my mother as well. When I hugged my mother, I told her, you do a bunch of good things for us. You take care of us. You cook all the meals for us. I'm so grateful for that. Trust me, they will be too. They will be so grateful for it. So your actionable step here, think about and write down what your parents did for you that you could be grateful for. There is absolutely something to be grateful for. 100% there is. If you think there isn't, you're an idiot and you're lying to yourself because you just hold resentment. But again, resentment's not going to do anything. Your parents did so many things for you. You should be absolutely grateful for that. You can just go and write that down. So like grab a piece of paper and just write down what your parents what your parents did for you that you could be grateful for. You can also give it to them as well. So you can write down like a letter of gratitude and just give it to them. That's also very powerful. And give them a hug every single day from now on. So I know people who don't hug their parents, which is weird because for me at least, I've always hugged my parents. I've always hugged my dad. I've always hugged my mom every single day. And there's people who don't even do that. There's people who are like, they're just lazy as fuck. And they're just like, oh no, but I don't want to hug my parents. Like, what? Bro, your parents provided for you for like over how old are you? I don't know how old you are. 15, 16, 17, 18, right? They've provided for you for probably longer than that too, if you have like siblings as well. They've worked your entire fucking life to provide for you, and you can't even give them a simple hug. You can't even. When was the last time you told your mother that you're grateful for her? Huh? When was the last time that you told your father that you're grateful for the efforts that he put in to provide for us? Are you serious right now, bro? I'm not saying like, listen. You need to like take this seriously. Like, this is how you actually improve your relationship with your parents. Like, finally, after many years, like I see my dad, he's happier. I understand that they might have hurt you. I understand they might have traumatized you. My father traumatized me too. But I was able to get over that and improve my relationship with him. And now he doesn't hurt my family at all anymore. Of course, like, there's still progress to be made, of course. But he's changed a lot, and I'm actually proud of him of the progress he's made. Give them a hug every single day. That's the least they deserve. Come on, bro. Be grateful for it. Stop being arrogant. Stop holding resentment. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to fix anything. Gratitude, appreciation, That's what's going to fix this. Cutting off old friends and building new friendships. Building new friendships is just about, well, actually, yeah, we can actually go over this as well. But building new friendships is just about improving your social skills, right? So I went over in near the beginning of the presentation about why your friends are your friends, right? So we've covered that. Like, this is just like the same slide. So again, you should stop being friends with assholes that don't want to see you improve, because again, they're not your friends. The people, and this is actually pretty important, the people who you might want to be friends with, who, you know, like people who like go to the gym, who are disciplined, who are like grateful, who are like happy people, they don't want to be friends with you whilst you're still friends with low quality people. You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? If you spend time with losers, you're just gonna be a loser, right? And again, I talked about the lonely chapter is needed. Not now, or not forever, just for now. So you don't have to like, because I remember when I had to cut off my friends, where I just stopped talking to them. I didn't have anybody for a lot. You know, I still have my parents and like whatnot, but I didn't have any friends for a very, very long, for I think around a year, or maybe like a couple months or something like that, somewhere around that time frame. But even then, it's like, that's still pretty hard, isn't it? Not having friends for like a couple months that you can't even talk to. That's hard. I understand. And I understand that you might be afraid of that. That you don't want to let go of these people. I understand that, all right? But you need to understand that, like, these people don't care about you. They don't care about you at all. They're dicks to you. Chances are they're assholes. You need to cut them off. You need to go through that little bit of pain of just saying to them, we're not compatible anymore. We need to, like, go our separate ways. You would say it in like a very respectful way, of course. But like these like abusive people, like hurtful people, they don't deserve friends who are like you, who want to like improve their mental health, who are becoming more disciplined and stuff like that. They don't deserve people like you. You find friends who are compatible with you by being 100% authentic to who you are. Don't change for anybody. Be I wouldn't say like be just like 100% like authentic, because I think authenticity means doing, saying, and I guess feeling whatever you want, whatever you want. So present the best version of yourself, of course, like you know, just like, don't be an idiot with this. Don't be autistic. You know, like, groom yourself, brush your teeth, brush your freaking tongue too, bro. By the way, like, a lot of you, listen. Let me tell you something right now. I was a scruff, like a little, like, dirty, like, smelly little, like, idiot, because I remember I never used to have like good breath at all. And the reason why is not because your teeth, like, you know, like, they don't really contribute to bad breath that much, actually. It's your tongue. You need to brush. Like, hold on. This is I know this might sound weird, but this is important. Brush the back of your freaking tongue. Please, bro. The amount of people that I speak to have like shit breath. I know for a fact they don't brush their tongue. Like, what you do is you grab your toothbrush, you know, you brush your teeth like normal, and then what you do is you take your toothbrush after you're finished brushing your teeth, and you basically just deep throat your toothbrush, like grinding it against your tongue, because that's where like a bunch of like gunk and like junk is from the night before. Please take this seriously, all right? I know that might sound weird, but like, just a little hygiene tip for you: brush your tongue, bro. Come on. And take, listen. Being authentic doesn't mean just like being like a weird, smelly little like idiot. It means grooming yourself. It means brushing your teeth. It means taking a shower and stuff like that. Take it seriously, bro. It means also like shaving your like shitty face. Like, you know, I need to like, do a little bit more of a shave as well. Probably shave today, but it just means like basic grooming things. Like if you have a weird like shitty ass beard like I used to have, shave it off. Like it's not gonna look good at all. Like if you have like weird stubble, just shave it all off. Just be clean shaven. Just like be like sharp. Be groomed. You know what I mean? Like obviously, like my hair is a little bit, just a little bit messy now, but that's because I just woke up and got to work straight away. But after this, it's like of course I'm gonna take a shower. I'm gonna brush my teeth. Because like if you've ever like seen my productivity hack videos. No, weird productivity hack videos, bro. But if you've ever seen like me just talk about like doing the work, like the best way to like do the work, at least for me, is to just wake up and get to work straight away. You don't brush your teeth, you don't do anything like that, right? But that's when I'm not seeing people. When I'm not seeing people, when I'm not near anybody else, I can do that. But when I like go downstairs to greet my family, I'm gonna take a shower. I'm gonna brush my teeth. I'm gonna like shave and stuff. I'm gonna look like clean and groomed because that's important. I know this might sound weird to like put in the mental health guide, but it's actually probably a big part of it. It's just your appearance as well. Because when you look good, when you feel good, your mental health is going to improve as well. So you should be authentic. You should be who you are, but you should present the best version of you. Brush your teeth, floss your teeth, like take a shower, bro. Come on, please. Like these are just basic grooming things that a lot of people don't follow. So yes, be authentic. Show your real personality. But don't be like present the best version of you. That's what I would say. And again, do all this basic like hygiene things, right? Like I know this might sound weird to put in like the mental health guide, especially in this section. And I know I know I just went on a rant here. It's really important, bro. Please, bro, come on. Take a shower. Just be like a clean human. You know what I mean? And again, building new friendships and really just like a lot of things, it's just about improving your social skills. Literally just a simple, hey, how's it going? Hi, how are you? Works wonders, bro. Speaking to people is actually really not that hard. It's like here's the problem, right? You're too intellectual. You're like listen, your problem is you're smart. Right? Because like we constantly like if you're like me, we constantly like overthink things. We constantly like we have this like ADHD mindset where we're just like, okay, what do I say here? Like, what if she says this? What if like this guy says this? Like, what do I say here? Just turn off your brain, bro. Come on. Just like be like a normal human. Say, hey, how's it going? How's your day going? Like, what's your name? I've never seen you before. It's that simple. Speaking to people is not that hard. It's just that all of us have become really, really socially autistic because of our phones. Social media has made people less social because it's much easier to DM someone online than it is to talk to somebody in person. Most people are on their phones. Most people are addicted to their phones. And so when you talk to them, you might find like, oh yeah, it's awkward and whatnot, but you got to understand it's like a lot of people, they're used to like talking to people online. They're used to talking to people that they know. Talking like a stranger it's just simple. Again, just literally just a simple hi, how are you works wonders. Hi, how are you? What's your name? How's it going? That's it. Just being polite. You know what I mean? And it is much easier to DM someone online, but it's like it doesn't give you as much benefit as it does than talking to like somebody else in person. So being social with other people, even if it's just your family, even if it's just talking to your mom, talking to your dad, asking your mom about like to tell you like a particular story, talking with your brother, even if it's just that, it provides you a huge mental health benefit. Even if it's just like like goofing off with your mom, like little like play fighting with her. like you taking your dad out to like go golfing or whatever. That's huge, you know what I mean? And yeah, it is much easier to DM someone online than it is to talk to somebody in person. But you won't get as much mental health benefit from DMing like a random person online than just talking to someone in real life. So this is something that you can level up. So apply the principle of progressive overload. Like you know what I mean? It's like you don't have to like go and like cold approach a girl like right away. You know what I mean? You can just start by talking to an old man, talking to the cashier that you see like when you go to like some like grocery store, right? And then work your way up. Simple. It's really that simple. You don't have to be afraid either, bro. I know you may have this fear of like talking to other people. A lot of people do. Understand that, like, if you stutter or something like that, it's like, okay, fine, but who cares? Nobody cares, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'll tell you a little secret, right? I'll tell you a little secret. Nobody cares, okay? I know that might sound like weird or whatever, but it's like, it's true because most people, they're just like they're thinking about themselves, you know what I mean? So, there's no need to be afraid. Just go up, talk to somebody. It's just that simple. You know what I'm saying? All right, bro. So, we covered everything that I promised you today. We've covered what caused my mental health to deteriorate. Then we covered what I did about it. I hope this video was helpful to you. You just watched me yap for almost 2 hours, so I'm proud of you for making it this far. But yeah. Hope that you actually gained some value from this. Go take action. You got this, dude.